Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer video. So we're moving on from the Beastmen now to something that was rather unexpected. The FLC Legendary Lord for this patch cycle is not related to any of the factions that form part of the DLC. Instead we're getting a new dwarf, Thorek Ironbrow. The Master Runelord of Karak, often referred to as the greatest Runelord that has ever lived, is joining the fray into the Total War Warhammer universe to search for lost artifacts. While that all sounds exciting, there's also some more news. The dwarves will also be receiving a slight rework to bring their mechanics more in line into Warhammer 2. And many of these changes are quite interesting, so let's not waste any more time and jump right in. In the Mortal Empires campaign, Thorek will begin at Karak, pitting you against a wide variety of different enemies such as Greenskins, Skaven, Tomb Kings, and Vampire Counts. He does not begin at home at Karak, though that might be a good thing as that means you have a diversified start for another Dwarf Legendary Lord and you aren't too close to the others. In the Eye of the Vortex campaign, Thorek begins in the southern areas of the Spine of Sotek, meaning that yes, he's in Lustria. However, don't you worry, of course, the Eye of the Vortex has a much larger Lustria, so it's not too much of a slog. The benefit of this too is that you have two different start locations, meaning that you will have a variety of different enemies depending which one you decide to pick. Thorek's faction trait, Masters of the Rune, provides the following benefits. Suitable climate for jungle, oath gold from buildings plus 100%, oath gold cost for crafting runes minus 50%, hero recruit rank plus 5 for all runesmiths, and upkeep minus 25% for all runesmith heroes. Thorek's own unique trait, the Old Ways Are Best, provides the following benefits. Armor piercing weapon damage plus 3 for Lord's Army, armor plus 10 for Lord's Army, and reload time reduction plus 15% for Bolt Thrower, Grudge Thrower, and Quarreler units for his army. I'm assuming there's going to be quite a few people interested in this due to the reload time reduction for his trait. Thorek's unique skill line will have a number of benefits, from being able to cause fear to being able to reduce the cost of certain buildings in your construction tab. But there is a heavy emphasis not only on extra runic spells, but also boosting up the ones that you'll be able to get through the skill line below. Don't you worry, we'll be going through an extensive check through that just now. Thorek will also have access to 2 unique items which will make him far more powerful in melee combat, and as expected this famed character also rides an Anvil of Doom, which might take a while to get, but he can already hold his own on foot, so don't worry about that. The Rune System has been changed through a few different mechanics. First up, of course, we have what would be considered spells, as now the Rune System here works very similar to that of a Law of Magic. Runesmiths, Runelords, and Thorek will have a dedicated skill line which is dedicated to different types of runes. These can range from buffs to debuffs to damaging runes, but it will work in a very similar way to that of magic with a few differences. So now all runic spells that you unlock can be found on the right hand side just like any other Law of Magic. However, you will not have access to any Winds of Magic, meaning that your runes themselves are completely unlimited. Runes, like normal spells, can also be overcasted to a certain level and obviously become far more powerful than the original was intended. Now, the difference that comes into effect here is that the higher the overcast, the longer the cooldown. This paired with the fact that as you use a singular rune on a character, all other possible runes on said character will also go on cooldown, means that you'll have to think ahead as to what rune you want to use. Though I do advise bringing an extra rune if you can, they are always very useful. Regarding Thorek's campaign, you will notice that certain areas around the map have a distinct glow. These settlements themselves are linked towards your campaign progression. As I stated, you need to go and find some ancient artifacts, and pieces of said artifacts can be found within these regions. You have 2 possible options here, either take it by brute force, which is very common, or ally up with that faction and get it from them through an agreement. Acquiring such items can be used in the Forge mechanic, with a specific tab known as the Ancient Vaults only available to Thorek. These special items, as you can see, will grant you either a unique ancestor hero, a yoked carnosaur, I don't know how Thorek managed to do that, and a bunch of different items which are fairly powerful. As you can see, however, you're going to have to hunt about for unique items, and it's going to take a while unless you know exactly where you're going. It's not too much of a scavenger hunt, but getting into combat or trying to ally with certain factions to be able to get these items instead. The rest of the forge remains very much the same, however you will notice character and banner runes, and they work in a very similar way to that of the tabletop. It's actually quite interesting to see this happen. The runes themselves are drastically different, and there are so many different possible options here. The great thing about this system is that they only cost Oath Gold, which means of course that as you get a surplus as your campaign progresses, you'll be able to kit out many new characters without too much of an issue. The Great Book of Grudges, wow that's very meta to say, has been radically changed too. Now each of the legendary lords will have their own ancestral grudges. Thorek naturally will focus around getting the ancient artifacts, and it will point you out to the right direction as to where you need to go. The generalized mechanic has also been changed too, where the severity has been changed to be much more thematic. You're not going to be getting as many negatives as you used to, which is obviously a good thing, but also as your severity gets worse and worse, you have more of a chance to spawn slayers into your regiment of renown pool. This is kind of like many dwarfs taking the slayer oath. It's incredibly thematic and just adds that little bit of extra flavor. Thorgrim's ancestral grudges will mostly focus around dealing with the greenskins and taking back all the lost holds that they had taken. This is usually the #1 priority for the Dwarven High Kings, so it works very well, and there's a cheeky hint towards the end times dealing with Clan Eshin. Grombrindal's ancestral grudges will focus around not only taking back former lost settlements, but now you also have to deal with a reimagining of the War of the Beard. Now is also the perfect time to tell you that the severity of these grudges will get worse and worse if you leave them in the book for too long, which means it's time to get up and go and wage war in Ulthuan. Ongrim's ancestral grudges will focus around keeping the northern World's Edge Mountains safe, dealing with the vampires and also with Clan Moulder. This will keep you incentivized to fight many different types of factions too, so at least you're going to be able to be as much of a slayer as possible. You could take your time if you want to and just recruit more and more armies of slayers, however. Finally, Belegar Ironhammer, and as you can imagine through his lore, his ancestral grudges focus around taking back Karak 8 Peaks. And yes, the 50% punishment to the upkeep of units is still there until you take 8 peaks, but not only that, but now your ancestral grudges will also make you go and actively fight the Crooked Moon and Clan Moors. Not only that, but Belegar, our boy Belegar, finally has his own unique skill line. He was omitted from the original rework, so it's great to see this. It focuses around not only building up diplomatic relations with other dwarf factions, but mainly focusing around buffing up your troops, making them much more deadly in combat. Of course, you are playing as Belegar Ironhammer. Your main goal is to deal with armies of Skaven, Night Goblins, and retake your ancestral home. Master Engineers have also had their skills changed around to be more dedicated to forms of combat. In fact, if you go to one specific tree, then you will not be able to get into the other branch. This is so whilst you have one type of hero known as a Master Engineer, you can dedicate them to different types of things, so then you can have multiple Master Engineers with different types of playstyle. But that's pretty much it when it comes to Thorek Ironbrow and the new changes towards the dwarfs. It looks like Creative Assembly have been paying attention to the fan base regarding some issues that they might have had, and they've brought them more further in line to that of the Warhammer 2 races, which is always welcome. What do you guys think about Thorek and the changes to the dwarfs? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's start a bit of a discussion. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various links to different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Discord. Also in the description section is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using that link and also our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A big thank you to Gibraltar LUSC, Ryan Bertsche, Andrew Prince, and Okro for subscribing to us at our Fane level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule, VS Vasan, Aaron Whitman, and Shaggy for subscribing to us at our King level. Honestly, we can't thank you all enough. And lastly, a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing, and commenting on these videos. Honestly, it's because of you guys that the channel's been growing at such a great pace lately, so we can't thank you all enough. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.